Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. So it looks like QNAP has made a better version of one of my favorite QNAP systems. One of my favorite systems is the QNAP ES1640dc V2. That's a dual controller system, as we know. It's been on the market for a couple years, and again, one of my favorite systems from QNAP. It's old, reliable, it's a great machine, but it turns out that QNAP has maybe made something better. So we're going to take a look at that. It looks like the new system is the ES1686dc. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to do a side-by-side comparison and look at some of the differences as well as some of the similarities in these systems. Okay, and so let's take a quick peek at that. So let's start first of all with the CPU. So in the CPU, we are looking at ES1686dc. Okay, and that comes equipped with a Intel Xeon D2145NT processor. Okay, and the ES1640dc V2, that one comes with an Intel Xeon processor E5-2420 V2. And you can see here the difference. You can see that the new dual controller system, the new DC, comes with 8 cores, where the older system comes with 6. Where the newer system comes with 16 and the older system comes with 12. All right. Now let's look at the base frequency: 1.9 gigs versus 2.2 gigs, with its max turbo frequency of up to 3 gigs. Okay, and that's for the new ES1686dc, where the old ES1640dc V2, that one turbos up to 2.7 gigs. Okay, kind of see the difference in the cache here, 11 megs versus 15 megs of smart cache. Okay, so here you can kind of see the differences. But what does this all mean, right? We're here seeing a lot of numbers, a lot of figures. So how about we take this to the test? And first of all, I'd like to thank Intel for providing this information. Great information regarding their processors. So let's take a look here at the ES1686dc. Okay, and as we're looking at here, number one, CPU speed, and the ES1686dc is in red, and there you can see, right, so a lot more speed. So there we can see a difference in speed. Okay, so outstanding performance led by the ES1686dc. Next, number 2, L3 cache. Okay, 6 megs versus 11 megs, so big difference there, almost twice as much cache, right? Number 3, okay, we're looking at L2 cache. All right, and so here you can see a huge difference from 1 meg to 8 megs. So a very, very, very big difference there. So CPU threads, number 4. And 8 is the EC1640dc V2. And 16 CPU threads, and that one's led by the ES1686dc. Number 5, L2 core. So here we see 0.26 megs versus 1 meg. So obviously a humongous difference there. Giant difference there, 4 times as much. So L3 core, you can see 1.5 versus 1.3. So there is the EC1640dc that has a little bit of an advantage. Okay, so next, let's take a look at the turbo clock speed. Turbo clock speed is at 2.2 gigs, and that is for the EC1640, and 3 gigs, and that is for the ES1686dc, the new system. So again, the new system coming on top there. Clock multiplier, again, 16 for the EC1640 and 19 for the ES1686dc. Number 9, newer turbo boost versions. They're both at 2. So they're both at the number 2 version of the turbo boost. Okay, so up next is the RAM, random access memory. So let's take a look at both systems. The new ES1686dc, that one maxes out at 512 gigs of RAM. Okay, so lots and lots of RAM, right? So the ES1640dc V2, that one caps out at 80 gigs of RAM. So obviously a big substantial difference there from 80 to 512. A humongous jump there for the new ES1686dc. Good job there on that improvement, QNAP. Now, what else do we have? So let's look at, here, check this out. M.2 SSD slots. That's right. So the ES1640dc V2 never had the M.2 SSD slots. Again, this system is a couple years old, so the technology perhaps wasn't available for this system, where here it is now. QNAP has made this available. It does have M.2 SSD slots in the new ES1686dc, and it supports M.2 ports, NVMe. So awesome stuff, awesome stuff. And not only that, something that was confirmed to me by QNAP a few weeks ago, that it does have read and write cache on those M.2s. So again, we're talking a lot more speed with these M.2s, and this is a great stuff here. So again, a great improvement, QNAP. Good job on SSD slots that are now available in this new system. And I think lastly, and most important, is the ES1686dc comes in 3 different types, okay, 3 different models, whereas its predecessor does not, right? And again, one of my favorites, that it was kind of what you got, you know, there's only one flavor, where the ES1686dc comes in 3 different types of flavors for 3 different types of budgets. So this is really important, again, because of the price of the system has to be in line with how much money you have to spend, right? So number 1, ES1686dc-2145NT-128G. That is the Intel Xeon D2145NT 8-core 16-thread 1.9 gig CPU burst, 3 gigs with 128 gigs of RAM, and that is 64 gigs of RAM per controller. Okay, and again, maxes out at 512. Now, remember, the naming rule on these QNAPs is actually in line with the name of the Xeon processor. So you see there, the D2145NT is actually in the part number. So it makes it really easy to remember, as well as the RAM. The RAM's 128 gigs. So a little tip there, guys. ES1686dc-2145NT-96. Only difference is what? The RAM. 96 gigs of RAM. Everything is the same. So cost savings there, right? Number 3 is the ES1686dc-2123IT-64. And guess what? It's running an Intel D2123IT 4-core, 8-thread, 2.2 gig processor that bursts up to 3 gigs, right? And how much RAM? 64 gigs, correct. So that's 32 gigs per controller. And again, the great thing about this system is that it maxes out at 112 gigs. So awesome system as well. So here you have it, guys. 3 different machines in 3 different budgets for 3 different types of customers. So which one are you? So very excited about this, guys. Look, we're bringing this information. This is the hardware information. In our next video, we're going to talk about features and functions and what it does, and the software, and we're going to tie everything together, guys. But so far, we're bringing you this information. And if you guys have any comments or questions so far on this video, feel free to leave a message down below in the comment section, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Anything else related to sales or any of the questions you might want to have and take that offline, guys, you can always reach us at sales@simplynas.com. Again, that's sales@simplynas.com. Guys, my name's Hernan, simplynas.com. Thank you again for tuning in. Bye-bye.